I'm Trish.
I'm Rebecca.
And I'm Carrie.
And this is the Kickbutt Talent Series.
Brought to you by the Sioux Film Festival. Hi, I'm Carrie. In this episode, Daniel Lance talks to the Sioux Film Festival about wearing all the hats and his experiences in the media and film industry. Enjoy.
So I feel it's a little funny because I know a lot of faces already. I'm going to slightly pretend that I don't know any of you. And this is directed maybe towards newer filmmakers, like Sioux College students, something like that. Which is also funny because Neil is here and he was my teacher. So this is going to be a very interesting presentation. As well as I don't want to just lecture for an hour. I feel like that might be boring for some people. So feel free to ask questions as we're going on. I want to split this up to kind of, first part is my own work, second part is going on other people's work on their larger film sets, and then third part kind of like a Q&A session. Does that sound good? Sounds
For
good.
anyone who wasn't here last year, Daniel received the award for the best feature film. Yay!
I liked it. It was great. Yeah, so in terms of my own sets, my own work, I've been a videographer, director, writer, editor, camera operator, actor. And then on other people's productions, I've been a camera PA, art PA, director's assistant, prop master somehow, and then an intern for Edge Enterprise or Edge Entertainment, which is reading scripts, which was super fun. So I also want to show clips of my work as well. So that way, once again, it's a little more lively. We're filmed, so I should show parts of my films. That makes sense to me. Sounds good. All right, next slide. All right, this is a picture of me. Click it again. Sorry, that's not me. I was not born in a camera bag. I did not touch a camera until I was, I don't know, past 10. Pretty much, I was in hockey, and then I grew not a big fan of hockey. And then, which is the most un-Canadian thing I've ever said. And then I delved into theater with Loretta Durat and I still call him Mr. Lozon, even though I should call him Joe by this point. And then I ended up picking up a camera with my dad. And you probably ask, what kind of camera did you have? It was whatever camcorder my parents had. What editing software did you use at 11, 12 years old? iMovie, like all the greats. That's how they started. Did you know that Steven Spielberg started with iMovie? It's crazy. So I do want to show you my very first one. Once again, this is the very first one. I used iMovie, their trailer package, which was the greatest thing that they've ever done. It's called Snowball Wars. This is legendary. And I wish there was some grandiose lesson. There you go.
That was the best thing ever.
All right, that's my presentation. Thank you, everyone.
What does it say? Director of photography? We're not sure.
We're not sure now.
And that was 2011?
That was, 2010, 2011, something like that. I think that was either I just started high school, but pretty much, so I did that, which was fantastic on iMovie because it helped so much. And then I did a few other things for school. And then during grade 9, so I did all these silly things like Daniel Lance's Science Pants, which was a spoof of Bill Nye. And my teacher in grade 9, Mr. Lettieri, was getting married. And he said, "Hey, Daniel, I saw your work in class." And I'm like, "Yes, sir." And he was like, "Would you like to film my wedding?" So at 15 years old, I became a wedding videographer. Next slide. So over the course of several years, up until now, really, in terms of videography, I did weddings, I did plays, I did Les Mis, I did, oh my gosh, Jesus Christ Superstar with Loretta and Lozon, White Pines. I did videos for the library. That was my last job there, which was very fun. And pretty much when I started at 15, it was all self-taught. I didn't have anyone else. It's not like my dad knew much about cameras. It was pretty much like I have a camcorder, which is the first wedding I shot with, and then I got a DSLR, and so on and so forth. And I'm just gonna, I imagine there would be a lot of students here. So has anyone shot a wedding before? Well, if you haven't, pretty much I'd recommend it. You learn a lot within 12 hours of panic.
What is something you wish you knew before going into that job?
Wish I knew, like at 15.
Yeah, I mean, before shooting a wedding in general, what is something where you wish someone told you about what to prepare for what they would see?
Yeah. So at now versus 15, because at 15 it was weird. It was like I being thrown into things. Like it was another teacher, like Mr. Leteri was like, "Hey, I want you to film my wedding," and I was like, "I'm not sure." And as I'm saying that, another teacher was like, "It's $600," and I'm like, "Okay, now I have a job." What I wish I knew. I mean, it's good to have a clear sense of the equipment that you want to use. I think organization, but I really wanted to, like one thing I didn't know, which is embarrassing about cameras, was like formatting memory cards. Like I didn't know about formatting memory cards until it was too late when I was filming this play and I ran out of space. And it was just the worst. And you had to redo the play parts. In terms of other things, I mean, you're preparing yourself for a long day. You're 12 hours, you're running around. I learned to be pretty good with clients. I'd say the one thing I do want to emphasize after I've done it is finding clients. I was never good on the business side of things. I was actually just very lucky because I got one teacher, then another teacher, and then I'd film one bride, and she was like, "I have a cousin who's getting married." And I'd film bride B, and then bride B had a sister, and it was like that. I essentially just grabbed one family, big Italian family, and did all their weddings. I tried to market myself, but didn't really do too well. But at the same time, I didn't film that many weddings a year. I did about like 3 or 4 weddings a year. There's other people who, I know like Ace Studios do constant weddings. But I was only a few times a year during high school and a little bit of college.
I feel like that would be a really good coming of age comedy.
Oh,
Like comedy, a boy in high school going around to weddings, learning a lot about adults while filming what's going down.
It'd be a great romantic comedy because that was me. I was the worst with like trying to find a date or anything, and it'd be like, "Hi, could you go to the dance with me?" And then it'd be like, "Excuse me, can you guys just hold each other better? Just hold each other and then walk together." And like, "Oh, is it okay if you want to go to the dance? If you're available." Like, be something like that. I got a snort, so that's a win for Daniel. The other good thing about filming weddings, if it's just you as you're shooting your own stuff, and you know for the next one what you want and what you don't want. So it was like talking to your future self. So while I'm editing, I quickly realized, okay, I didn't need a close-up shot of those desserts. I could have just done one wide shot. Done. I should probably get another wide shot of the family, maybe focus on different family members, stuff like that. So that's always very helpful when you have that, maybe not relationship is the word, but that kind of work ethic of knowing what you want. And that's, another part of the gist of this presentation, knowing what you want in the long run. Of course, I made mistakes, and when I didn't know something, usually on the day of or in editing, I'd have the one to find it. There was no one looking over my shoulder for work. It was just me until getting to college and learning from Neil. And Neil. No, okay. And doing that way. So I think that was really fun in the long run of doing weddings at that point. Doing plays and stuff, it was mainly stick the camera in one spot, don't move it around too much. But usually editing weddings, that's where I'd have the most leeway and the most responsibility in that regard. So I'd also say, for newer people jumping into the film industry or wedding industry, videography, you want to get inspired by other things that you see to go into your work. One example was, which I sadly could not find on my computer. One couple, actually the bottom left one. They were lovely. They were great. She and her now husband really loved Mario Kart for some odd reason. That's not true. I love Mario Kart. And they went at Crimson Ridge, they were in the golf carts. And so during the video, I then put over the Mario 64 music. And they loved it, which was great. Go to the next slide. You saw? No. So this is me. I hope you can read it well. Okay, this is me at the library there, at the top right, and the left one. This is Book the Monster, which is just very fun. And I got to play with the puppet for probably a little bit too long. And one of the things at the library when I started, the role was, hey, could you do these videos on the side, but also teach people? But because of COVID, I couldn't do that because of lockdown and everything. So it was purely just film these people, do story times, and edit for them. Excuse me. One of the things I noticed was they didn't have a logo. I thought, well, that's kind of annoying. Every time a kid watches a video or a parent, there's no kind of similar thing throughout each video, like no similar song, no similar introduction. So I wanted to do a, everyone's seen the Pixar logo here. Anyone who hasn't, I feel bad for you. Okay, great. You know, the dots going across, so I wanted to do that, and I spent a little bit of time on After Effects, which is a program I haven't used that much, but I love doing that. Another thing, that, you know, they didn't have any background music. For new filmmakers, everyone hear of Kevin MacLeod in Compotech? Everyone knows who that is? That's like our lifeblood for royalty-free music. Neil, you remember that, don't you? No? Kevin MacLeod? Oh, Neil has money. But for new filmmakers, Kevin MacLeod at Compotech is the one. So I just downloaded a bunch of music from his site, because all you have to do is you can use his music and then put by Kevin MacLeod at the end. That's like sponsorship I'm just doing at the moment. Don't mind that. So about the ladder. The speaker will be over there. I'd set up the cameras. The ladder is essentially what I'm using to rest a boom pole across. Yeah, that's what I said excitingly at the beginning. And then got very annoying as I spent 4 minutes to level the boom pole perfectly on the ladder. And at that point, you should just stop being stubborn and get a boom pole stand.
Did you just take
Where was Joseph when you needed him?
I called, he didn't answer. No, this is before I knew you actually. So yeah, it's before the job. Yeah, no, that would have been helpful.
Did you just take it to the ladder, or how did you connect to the ladder?
I just balanced it. I just balanced it. Yeah. And then I just prayed it wouldn't hit their faces when they stood up. It was like right above the frame.
So if it got tapped, it just fell off?
Yes.
Oh my God.
But it wasn't, well, the boom pole was my equipment. I don't think the mic was, so I was still okay there. But for the most part, they were just happy that I was doing it. I can show one video that if you go to, wait, whoop. It is, I can show you the intro of the fifth one, dashes. Yeah, so before you click it, no, it's okay, we can watch them. Here's the intro to the video that I really enjoyed doing. And the one story of this one was, pretty much they're like, hey, Daniel, we just need you to take a picture of the greyhounds in the library. We're doing this meeting thing. And they're like, we just need you to take a picture of this little stuffed animal dog. And that's it. And I was like, well, that's kind of boring. And I have 2 hours of free time, so I decided to have this. And you're thinking 2 hours, but yeah, it took a little longer. It's very cute. It's for kids. That's the reminder here.
Hey, Dash! Did you know that the Sioux Greyhounds and the Sault Ste. Marie Public Library are partnering up for Family Literacy Day? Today's contest is Dash's Lego Build Challenge. I know I'm gonna tell them. We would like you to build anything hockey related. That could be a hockey puck, or a hockey stick, or even a Lego Dash. You do look good as a Lego. Email a picture of your challenge for a chance to win cool Sioux Greyhound prizes. Oh, that's right, thanks Dash. And don't forget to read a good book.
Were you doing the dog voices?
I did the dog voice. Yeah, the dog voice was fun. You're actually directing more than you think when you're a videographer. Surprisingly, not everyone is an actor. This was crazy. And when you're with a wedding couple or you're with a person reading a book, every so often you either want a little more energy or you need to put them in a position that's a little awkward that they'll never do again. How many times have you seen a wedding trailer or a wedding video and the couple's in a really awkward position, but you're thinking, oh, this looks so romantic and beautiful, but how are they actually doing that? So what I learned while at the same time directing actors and directing non-actors for this is, you know, of course, communication and clarity, but also seeing what they're comfortable with as non-actors. So many times I'd pitch an idea at the library, I think, oh, what if you tried this? What if you tried this one fun thing that's a little silly? And they're like, no. And at the same time, it's, you tried it, it doesn't work out, but that's good too. Yes, those are little things you'll notice directing with non-actors, which I still think works out at the end. And yeah, I already tackled, kind of working as a one-man army there. That's what you might get used to as a videographer, unless you have an assistant with you, which I did every so often, but I mainly edited my own work. Yeah, so I did enjoy being a videographer for the long run. It is very fun. You discover a lot about yourself because it's mainly just you the entire time. Film is a very collaborative effort, as you said, while as video, you're mainly a one-man army. All right, get comfortable in your chairs. So, for those who don't know, I did a feature film. It was awesome, and I loved it. It was called Heroes: A Different Kind 2, Rise of the Dark Panther. It was a sequel to my dad's feature film that he did, I think, around 10 years ago now. He had a camcorder and a tripod, and he's a teacher at St. Paul's Elementary School, and he filmed the kids with little superhero segments. It was an entirely short, silent film that was about an hour long, and he edited on iMovie. So if you ever think you can't do something, just remember my dad with a camcorder and a tripod and iMovie. You can do it. Oh, you can barely see it here. It's extremely dark. But I want to show you the teaser trailer that we did several months before we wrote the script, several months before we shot anything we know what we were getting. I just want to show you just the energy behind it, that we loved it.
St. Paul's, your heroes are a thing of the past. Your hallways have been abandoned. It's time for a new power to rule. The Dark Panther will rise. There's no one that can stop me.
Hey, Furball, we're not all gone.
So, the reason I love this so much is that our friend Adam, which we kind of forced and coerced into doing it, is wearing a curtain as Dark Panther. Which I can't really show you much here. The foot is mine. We had Father Paul from our League of Council Church do the voice, which he ended up doing the voice for the feature. But we were just really excited, and we thought this was the most amazing thing in the world, to be honest. I remember showing other people, and they're like, "Oh, cool!" And I'm like, "It's so cool." That was before anything, pretty much. And then I'm gonna have to exit out again. I'm so sorry. Is the next one. So that's trailer 1. There's trailer 2.
The kid who did the flip,
Yeah.
that wasn't a stunt person, that's him?
A stunt person?
I don't know, that's a
Yeah,
separate
this is not
kid.
an after production.
No, that was a 12-year-old kid. And he landed perfectly. There was no mat underneath from one shot to the other. No, it'd be ridiculous. So of course, for the feature film, at this time, I was in Sioux College in the second year. So I started at 18 when I was writing it, and we began filming. So that was, let me just double check here, summer 2015 to release in January 2017. So that's a bit of a long project. Okay, well, I feel like if there are Sioux College students listening to this, I'm like your grandpa in that way. Just jumping forward, working on the film. Actually, if you go to the next slide, this is what, if you can see clearly, this is what the poster looked like in the end. And on the project, of course, because it was a very small crew, it was me and my dad, and then we had 12-year-olds doing other work for us. I was the director of photography, editor, set decorator. Oh, I have so many. Writer, fight choreographer, editor, casting director, of course. And it's just because everyone was busy, because our schedule was crazy. We'd have around 2 hours a day to shoot with students, because the second they finish school to the second they go to play hockey or ballet, kids have lives, apparently. That's crazy. I know, right? So when we started when I was writing the film, for some strange reason, I wrote on Microsoft Word, and I formatted it to script format. I don't know why. I guess I was like, final draft is too expensive. And it actually just made things way more difficult, so never format. This was a thing I learned in Sioux College, They're like, format to Word if you want to. Don't do it. Just don't. It's not worth it. People listening to this. Sorry?
Cell text?
Yeah.
Just cell text?
Text or writers do better.
I like Fade-In. Fade-In's $100. There's corporate sponsorship there. But Fade-In is fantastic, so I like that one. Of course, writing the film, writing for your first feature is, of course, quite difficult. I was very lucky in which I knew where we'd be shooting. We'd be shooting at the school. I knew which classrooms. So it almost kind of was good because there's limitations. And so when you have limitations, you can kind of work inside the box, so to speak. So I kind of enjoyed doing that. I'll get to a point later where I got stuck, and I'm still stuck working on a project that has no limitations. And I'm actually having difficulty finding that one. But yeah, of course, while writing the film, you know, I remember rewriting so many drafts because we'd shoot one day and a kid wasn't available. A kid had danced, so we had to rewrite them out of the scene, and then or rewrite the scene or make them only have a small part, and then check later in the script to make sure that didn't affect continuity, and then maybe rewrite something else for a later scene. So that became like a weekly or bi-weekly ritual with me. Yes, but it was still fun, and you really get to know your characters then. Past the point of writing, we casted the students. Now, imagine casting, and who here has worked with kids before? Yep. You've worked with kids before. Yeah, you didn't raise your hand, though. Notice in the video, he did not raise his hand. And now imagine all your students go to the exact same school, and imagine they're all between 8 and 13 years old. To be honest, though, it was awesome. And what you might be thinking is, but Dan, they're kids, they're rowdy, they can get in the way, they may not do their work. Which is slightly true, but we were lucky with pretty good kids. But the other fact of the matter is, I've worked with amateur actors at Toronto Film School and at Sault College. It's not too far off. People our age are still rowdy.
Are you saying kids behave better than some adults?
Yes.
I was basically saying that too. Nice statement.
No, it varies, of course. Like, they can get tired and everything, but working with these kids and seeing them grow from non-actors to they did become actors, and actors wrote, and they put in the hard work. They put in studying the lines, and then I'd change them, they'd study them again. They got comfortable with each other, and there's fight scenes they had to do. They had to get emotional in other scenes. They had to be funny in other scenes, and it was awesome to see them grow. And so that was this really cool, in terms of directing, you kind of almost enter this level of like synergy, which you might have felt before, both maybe as an actor and then as a director. It's the greatest thing because you don't really feel it in you, you feel it in someone else, and it's almost like you're just vibing really well. So hopefully, at least on my end, we had this really good connection with the kids, and also that's, I can't say it was just me. Of course, my dad was the teacher there. Any questions so far? I feel like I'm just monologuing too much, like Hamlet.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Yeah, so since you started so young with an interest in the camera, I was just wondering who are some of your, do you have any cinematographers or movies that really inspired you to want to get into the industry?
Yes. I don't wish I was that student who was like, The Godfather is it, and watching these really old films, like that just wasn't true. I watched a lot of Pixar, I watched a lot of Star Wars, and I'm watching a lot of Marvel movies. And what we wanted Heroes of a Different Kind 2 to be was similar to a Marvel movie. It's like, let's make our own Marvel movie, let's make it light, let's make it serious points, let's have fun action scenes, but let's not go too heavy and let's not go too kiddish in a way, which is silly because, it's a silly concept because it's a kid's superhero film. But I think kids understand a lot more than you think because, think back when you were a kid, you still understood greater concepts. Does that make sense? So yeah, I'm still inspired by a bunch of stuff. Certain fight scenes that we had in the film, I was like, I kind of like how in Star Wars, in episode 3, they spun their lightsabers really around really quickly and they attacked. I'm like, let's do the exact same thing here. And we did, it was fun. And of course, like different comedies, like my dad and I both love Bugs Bunny. So we wanted like that kind of silly humor at points. And we have, I'm trying to think of the characters, like Timon and Pumbaa from Lion King. I love Lion King. We have characters called Hal and Cal, which I will show you, which is Ryan Morrow and Sammy. I can never remember his last name. But we had like the dumb duos. So we wanted, let's have a really serious moment. Let's have the goofballs and back and forth like that. So we were inspired by a bunch of things. It wasn't any old film, as other, film students might say. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But yes. Anyways, jumping to, here's some more screen captures from the film. Like I said, we had a crew of elementary students. It was me and my dad, and then we'd have one guy doing boom and audio, which as well, audio has been my curse throughout my entire life. I'm just not good at it. It's just a thing I've understood about myself. I love voice directing, but I just can't understand audio that well. Microsoft Word, casting young actors. Costumes was very fun. I never understood costumes as well. Carrie, that's now your department. So next time I make a children's film, that's you. We got costumes from all over, like Turkey, Europe. We got them from different parts of the States, which was really cool. As a DOP, I didn't have any lights because I didn't have time to set up lights. I used lights in the room like this. We used outside when we could. I didn't have time to do lights. I think there's about 5 scenes in total where we used like stage lights at St. Mary's or the Tech now. And I had like the big China ball lights for like one scene, which I wish was even brighter, but that's mainly it. So what I mainly just focused on was moving the camera in interesting ways when I could. And yeah, that was mainly it. Does anyone else have any questions about directing kids or that kind of stuff so far?
Dan, did you find, you had mentioned this was filmed over a long period of time and that the kids seemed to become actors by then. Did you find when you were putting the film together that the performances, like...
Oh, 100%.
Johnny was fantastic here, and then he's a living statue in this scene.
It was, for the leads, like we had, so Evan right there and Isla, they were the leads. And even, Anthony, there we go, he was Mark Pony, puns. And they got better over time. I loved working with them. They got better, but it became less alien to them in a way. It became really much just more like a job. And that synergy that I was talking about, they knew when they'd screw up. They knew when they weren't giving it their all. And so we just kind of look at them and kind of go, really, Isla, was that it? Or really, Evan, was that it? And they go, oh, okay, yeah, I'll do another one. They also really understood that we were under the time limit constantly. So for the most part, there wasn't too much goofing off. We kind of gave them a look and it's like, okay, we got to get going, which is the same look you give Larry if you're behind. Yeah.
So you said you would shoot with them only for a couple hours at a time. So is this at the end of the day? Did their parents come and like cover and watch over? Did you have any
That was the really funny thing in hindsight, which I wish we did. We didn't tell the parents anything. Like, we told them that we were doing a movie, but they didn't understood like what this was. Like, for the most part, what they probably thought was we stuck a tripod there and they were acting in the room, and that was it. So we got pretty consistently arguments from parents saying like, my kid has to go to hockey. What are you doing? Can't you leave a little bit earlier? We were like 5 minutes past 6 or something like that.
Right, not realizing that, like you said, if they pulled them out of the scene, then that forces you to rewrite all the future scenes and creates an issue with continuity. So they didn't understand the full scope of it, that it was really going to be a feature film.
Yeah, and at the end of it, so, in hindsight, I do wish we talked way more to the parents and kind of say, like, come to set one day, or, it was always after school, so, like, they'd be working as well, so it was always a little awkward. We never shot on the weekends. I do wish we just grabbed 1 or 2 to be on the day of, just say, look what your kid is doing. Look how well they are. But at the very end, when we finally premiered the show at Cineplex, we had a few parents come up to us and say, it's sort of in the backhand way, but you're like, that was way better than we thought it was. And you're like, thank you.
We're just going to set the standards low at all times, expectations of you, and then people will always come up with those backhanded compliments.
Yeah. So it was interesting, and we had one mother essentially apologize because there was a character who wanted to be. We were going into the summer, and we still needed, I think, the last 10, 15 minutes of the film to be shot, which is quite a bit at this one location. And she was like, "I'm taking my son. We're going to Italy, and that's it." And so it's like, okay. And we were like, "Please don't." And they said no. And then I said, "Cool, I'm going to rewrite this character. So the name of the character will still stay in, but your kid's out. And I'm going to bring this whole new kid in." Once the actor found out about that, they're like, no, I'm staying. We're shooting the rest of it. We'll go to Italy later, which worked in our favor. But yeah, I do wish we had better communication with the parents at that point. Yes?
You know the legalities different working with kids? Do you need different waivers for insurance, or like, how was that? You have, no? That didn't happen?
No.
You shot it at this.
It was a school project.
No.
But definitely once you do an ACTRA production with kids, there's a ton of like, extra.
Yeah, so I didn't even know what ACTRA was. Like, I heard the word, but we didn't, it was me and my dad. And so like he's a teacher, so there was enough protection there. And we weren't doing it like there was no swearing in the film. There was no like blood in the film. There was no, like there was fight scenes. And if they got hurt, we were like, you okay? You okay? Okay, do it again. Which happened like twice. But, which was like, oh, I hit the hand. Oh, I hit my knee, and that's fine. But there was none of that. Like there was no one was getting paid. We raised money for the film, which was really great that people did. So I think we raised about $5,000 or $6,000, and then at the end of it, we donated money. But like there was no like legally, yeah, nice in a way. But you know, in exchange for freedom, we had 2 hours a day of filming. So that's why it went over 6 months. There's like it doesn't matter at all. There's like little continuity errors of, you know, Evan would run from one scene, and then the next shot, his hair is like cut. And it goes back to long hair. And you would never notice that in the film, but we'd see it and we're like, oh, well, whatever. Yeah.
Did you shoot in order?
No, we tried not to. There was a lot of scenes in one, like the most cramped room you can imagine. So you can kind of barely see her, but she's in like a little tiny office in the library that was like Watchdog. She's like Oracle from Batman. Please tell me people know who that is. Yeah, that's big. So she was like Oracle, and she was watching everything on the school on like 2 monitors that I had to set up every single time, which was brutal. And all these other gizmos and gadgets on her. And
She's like a tech.
sort of.
She's like a hacker.
Yeah, she's like a hacker pretty much. And she had like security shots in the school, which was fun to do. But yeah, no, we tried to get all those shots done, then move to, you know, kind of that way. But it was also depending on like, okay, Evan and Isla are available today with, you know, or like we get their schedules a week in advance, and Ryan's available. Okay, what scene can we do with them? And kind of that way. Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of brutal. But I loved it. Loved it more in hindsight, of course. But would I ever do it again with, you know, no budget, nobody's getting paid, crew of like 3 or 4 people? No. I'm still super happy that I did it because I learned so much, but I would never do it again the way I did it. Yeah. Of course. You know, I don't have it in the slides here. I do want to mention working with kids. I mean, they were 12, so they were a little older. They understood a lot more. I did work on another short film with my friend Matt back in Toronto, and his niece was in the film, and she was this very cute little thing that didn't have any lines, and all she had to do was kind of look up to our other actor and then walk away, but she was insanely nervous the entire time. And I think she was around like 7-ish. And so directing young actors that are, you know, young teens versus like a 7-8-year-old, there is still a vast difference. And so, yeah, during the day that we had, you know, hey, how's it going? I'm Dan, that kind of stuff. And then when it came to Racine, of course, there's now 30 bodies around you, which is intimidating even for like a normal actor sometimes. And it's, you know, it wasn't a crazy amount that she needed to do, but it's like, all right, do you understand what's going on? I'll explain it too. And you'll probably hear this a lot as, you know, this still, once again, towards new directors and new filmmakers, but you're not supposed to give actors like line readings or mirror their movements, kind of stuff like that. When it's a kid, when they're just nervous and that's just your starting point, it's fine to do that. I wholeheartily believe it's fine just to give them a little bit of instruction, do it with them, make them feel comfortable, and then allow them to do anything. And from what I heard afterwards, she was just so happy, and it worked out that way. So I'm happy that I did that. Going towards, of course, years later, we finished this in 2017, so we're heading up to our fifth anniversary of the film. And of course, it's interesting still to see my work back then and notice what I was doing really well and what I wasn't doing really well at audio. And it's crazy to see now. My dad's still teaching, and he shows it to the students. And one kid in grade 6 really enjoyed it and was like, "Mr. Lance, your son did that? Wow, he should go into film." Like that's always good to hear. And when we were working on Do Not Disturb, which is a horror film that we shot, of course everyone knows this, Stephanie, who was our stunt coordinator, she saw the film because I was like, okay, here's a chance, Daniel. Let's show a professional stunt coordinator like your fight scenes in the film and see how it is. Actually, let's go to that now so I can stop talking for 2 seconds. And yeah, so actually it's just gonna be right behind you in the internet. So all the bad guys are coming together now.
Ah, little patriot.
Oh, there's no
Long
one.
time no see.
Coney, or should I say Dark Panther?
I'm flattered that you think I'm him.
Only you would stoop this low. The plan was to send transfers to stop student council. You're the 4th transfer.
Taking out the candidates was easy. The ones that we didn't bribe, we had to get a little bit more creative.
You'll never get to Trixie. Mega Council isn't going anywhere.
She really did get in your head, didn't she? And here I thought she would be useless.
What are you talking about?
I think what he's trying to say is that the transfers were never coming to intimidate me. They were coming to report to me.
No. Everything we talked about.
Come on, Patty. Do you really think Mega Council could be a thing? I want to help everyone. I cannot believe you fell for it.
I don't understand.
About a year ago, Dark Panther found me and offered me the role of a lifetime, plus tons of cash. You even ditched your best friend in the process. I'm too good.
Look, I don't know what's going on, but whatever it is, I'm stopping it right now.
Then you're talking to the wrong guy.
Dark Panther likes big entrances. Come on, guys.
Also, you might want to rethink having your hero wear a mask the entire time. A little difficult for audio.
So you're the Panther.
And you're the Patriot. I've been waiting a long time for this.
You'll never have my school.
But I already do. Your friends have failed. You stand here alone.
My friends?
Together, Mega Council has now control of 5 schools. St. Pius, once in the dust, will live on. I will have control of everyone.
Not while I'm here. Wait!
These are the 2 goons I was talking about.
Okay, go!
The table, the head on the table, son, how did you pull that off?
It was really easy. He had just hit his head. That's legit. He actually just hit his head. And we're like, dude, what you're going to do is you're going to do like this. He's going to bonk your head. I'm going to flip up anyways. It's going to be great. And then he hit his head. And that's the actual sound effect of just him hitting his head. Don't tell his mom. But yeah, the really cool thing, I really love that fight scene so much because it does remind me at least a little bit of Marvel and how they do things. And what we were aiming for is it starts very light at the beginning. Then there's a little bit of comedy there. It goes back to the action. I love when he hits him in the head. Hopefully it still gets to you that there's like a little bit of a story there. He can't win. Inspired by, a lot of children's cartoons growing up until the hero needs a new power. It's a very hero's journey. The hero loses, which is my favorite thing coming up in the film. A little after this point, spoilers for those who haven't seen it. Patriot loses, he gets kicked out of the school. And then it says 7 months later. And I remember being in the theater. I do wish I had like a recording of everyone in the audience, but it says 7 months later on the screen. And I remember a woman's going, 7 months. And I was just so shocked. But it's like, yeah, that's the emotion we wanted, and it worked out great. This is the climax of the film. It's another fight in the gym. Patriot got new armor. He got the sword of justice. I just wanted to show you that fight scene just to show the growth of characters, what we're aiming for, kind of like a montage kind of thing there. You know, very much old cartoons that I'd watched growing up, which I wanted to jump into.
Can I do a quick question?
Yep.
A couple things. No, the voice of the, sorry, I forget the character's name.
The black one or the red one?
The black one.
Yeah.
Was he totally post, or did he do any live stuff and then you affected it, or?
He did live stuff, so we just matched, because you can kind of see his mouth move. So we still had him do the lines, and then afterwards, it was just a different guy do the voiceover. Because we wanted someone like Mufasa to give that good evil voice. Okay, I'll skip through a little bit then. I was going to talk about Project Vanish, another short film that I worked on, but I'll jump towards working on different film sets. Back to the PowerPoint, please. There's just some photos there. Also, rule number 1, just take more BTS photos. Just please do. I never have enough. I've worked on so many things, I'm like, oh good, you can kind of see my elbow in this.
And a poster photo.
And a poster photo is also very important.
Forget to take that sometimes, and it's
that's a pain later.
Pain later trying to put the poster together.
Yeah, keep going. So this was, I'll really quickly say, this was a video game I worked on. I loved being in the voiceover department at the school where also I taught. There was a video game, which was the first one I did, that I helped on, that I wrote, and then I did a live action version as well. I do have kind of like behind the scenes of the rehearsal, which is, I do recommend rehearsing with your actors. Some don't. Personally, that's never worked for me. I always think rehearsing with actors just benefits everything. I always think actors need to know the full extent of the story. I don't see any point in hiding it from them. That to me is just pointless. If there's a theme in your story, and you need them to understand it, like through the growth of the character, why hide it from them? Like that's the way I like to see directing is, you know, people say like, oh, it's only the director's mind. You're trying to get what the director's vision is. I like to see it, and someone interviewed and said similar as well. But it's like, here's what you're going for. Here's what the actor's going for. You're actually trying to aim up here together. You're trying to work towards the same thing, which I think is a great mindset, because you're never going to get exactly what you want in your head. It's never going to happen. And that's a good thing, because always the actor, always everyone else is going to make something better. Please go to the next one. Yep, I had a great team working with me. I had a great first AD. Yep, I had the rehearsals, which was going great. The only downside of working on Project Vanish was it was an extremely long editing time. I was waiting for someone to help me on, guess what? The audio. And it never happened. And this was like several months have went by. I think it was close to a year before I actually released the short film. You just never do that. It's a short film. You want to get it out there as soon as possible so you can work on your next thing, so you can grow to the next one. Please go to the next one. This is just working on other student short films. There's a happy picture of me at the left. And then in the middle one, we were working behind this bar, there's just garbage everywhere. You can kind of see it. And that's where like our cast holding was, which was brutal. So where we could put our cast, just right beside the garbage, please. And that shoot went until around 3 a.m. So I was there at 12-ish, went until 3 a.m. And here's a photo of me. Thank you. You can barely see it, but I'm just stunned and shocked. Go to your next slide, please. Yeah, I also taught at the school. How I felt on the outside was versus how I felt on the inside. You can just kind of see my eyeball, which actually looks scarier than I thought it would. But it was a great teaching experience there. I'm actually wearing like the exact same clothes, so you know for a fact my style has not been updated. And
Elbow pads never go out of style.
I love elbow pads. It makes me feel professional. Working on film sets. I don't recommend if you're new, if you're just jumping into it. So this is for the video. If you're new and just jumping into it, don't be an extra. It's pointless. You're not going to learn anything. You're not close enough to the camera. You don't have a job on set. I like having a job on set. Otherwise, I feel like I have nothing to do with my arms, and I feel pointless. I was lucky enough to be on Coconut Hero. I'm going to skip the fog machine story. I was also lucky enough to be on Vikings. Did you say woot woot? Thank you, a single woot. So it was a real bear. The night before, I was working on a short film with my buddy, and guy up there, it was Ryan Blackstone, something. Ryan called me and said, "Hey Dan, are you available? It's Vikings this year." I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "I need some help," and I said, "Sure. You can be in the camera department just as a PA." I said, "Great." He said, "We need you there for like 6 a.m. I'll pick you up around 5. Okay, great. He said, "How are you around grizzly bears?" I said, generic appreciation for them. And he was like, "Okay, so just don't look at them. Like they're gonna be on set. Don't look at them when they come out. Don't feed them anything. Don't take pictures of anything." Okay, yeah, sure. And I'm hoping in my head, I'm like, I'm never gonna be around one. When we're up on this hill, of course, this is in March, we're up on the hill all the winter. As I'm like going to grab some camera equipment, here, bears coming on set. And the only thing separating between me and a bear, which you can smell the bear before it comes on set, is a little fence that's like a wire stick. And I'm thinking, I'm probably like an appetizer to that bear. I look like the Michelin Man. And, a stick and a little bit of wire is going to do much. But lo and behold, the bear just went past. A big lesson that I learned on that one was don't take anything personally. My camera operator, she's like, "Listen, I'm going to yell at you today. Something may go wrong. I'm going to yell at you. Don't take it personally, kid." And I was like, "Okay," thinking she was just being friendly. And I screwed up. I got the wrong lens, or I got the wrong, I don't know, something. And she let me have it for a minute, and then about 5 minutes later, I was like, really down on myself, and then realized this is going nowhere. I have more work to do, and so you kind of just forget it.
And plus, you could be eaten by a bear, so you have bigger fish to fry.
Yeah, when being yelled at, I was like, what's worse, her or Mr. Grizzly? And I was tempted by Grizzly. But no, that was mainly it. That's me holding a sign for several hours on standoff, which was very fun. And then this is kind of more behind the scenes, all the camera equipment on Vikings. Yeah, he was giant. I was struggling like bringing equipment through the snow. I probably shared the story before. Struggling bringing equipment through the snow, and the guy just walks up and walks away. And I was thankful, but I was also angry at him at the exact same time.
Is he an actor?
Yeah.
Oh, so nice of him to do that, to be courteous. And
he was courteous, but I was like running on fumes and dying. This was like day 2, I think, of these 14-hour days in the snow. But it was fun. We still learned a lot. Next one, please. Okay, so this is a Christmas letter. Everyone knows this one. Who hasn't been on the Christmas letter? Yeah. So I was the director's assistant, then somehow became the prop master through events, which, to be honest, was better for me because my whole goal was just to get close to actors. That's just my goal the entire time. And then, wish granted, I became the prop master, which I'm just close to actors the entire time. So here's a few pictures of me. There's Glenda there, one of the lead actresses, and she was fantastic. She was great to me and helping me kind of, organize like the French toast, which is just part of the script there. More behind the scenes shots. But it is also funny being on set when, you go to years of film school, you make your own work, you're so passionate about the products, and then you become a coat hanger. And that's just what happens sometimes because they need someone, professional coat hanger. Because they need that help. And then also sometimes they need someone to open a door for a scene, so you got to be the door opener guy. Those are some of the things you're going to expect on being on set. You just need someone. Everyone needs to chip in that kind of way. But it is a little funny sometimes. It was great because, like I said, I know nothing about props. I think props are very, it's a lot of disorganization. Everything's all over the place. And I can't tell you what chair or what item is better versus another one. So my knowledge of props is very low. So I was super thankful when something went wrong on like the first 10 minutes of being on set as the prop master, and another guy from the costume department just filled in the blanks and was able to work it out. I'm forgetting his name at the moment. Keith, yeah. Keith just solved problems. And so that was great that we had that on that set. So I was super thankful for that. Yeah, any questions? I was just rambling right there. Any questions for Christmas letter? I mean, a lot of you were like on it, so everyone knows. No questions, Rebecca?
Remember Rebecca and Trish at that very moment when you were holding that, probably crying in their vehicles, being producers. Trying to
We'll leave that to the next option.
All in all, I did enjoy the crazy 11-day shoot. Really interesting. When you hear other people on set go, you know, I've been on a 14-day shoot, I've been on a 13-day shoot. They have an accent. But I've never been on an 11-day shoot. That makes you a little nervous for what's coming up next. I personally, and maybe you guys have different opinions, of course, but I would never want to do something in lockdown ever again in terms of a film, just because it was too crazy. It was just so impossible at different points. But you guys will have different opinions, of course.
We got it done.
We got it done. That is the
And now we need another one.
Yeah, but this was like heavier lockdown. Like we can go into anything. That's true. I just remember panicking at Staples. And so I do want to ask the question, because probably some of you are thinking this, why am I not working in the industry? Which I think is a very honest question. There's no like real lesson behind this photo. Like it might, you are thinking, are these two related? No, I thought it was just kind of funny. I was taking pretty much professional photos because I was applying for a job at this time in Toronto. And I got bored and I was like, well, here's an opportunity here. So I went on the balcony and I just took a few little story of me falling off and, you know, jumping back on. I did not hang over. I'm not that daredevil. It was simply Photoshop. That kind of ruins it, doesn't it? But the question that I do want to take to is, why am I not working in the industry? And of course, this is more directed to students. And the answer that, because doing this had a lot of reflection. I got to look at a lot of my own work again. And pretty much over the last year and some, I was working on writing this film that just took forever. And I got so many times different writer's blocks. I tried committing to a release date and that didn't work out. And yeah, so it's literally a simple case of I put all my eggs in one basket when I should have been doing something smaller, which is a little weird when I did a feature film, but that was so much of my dad putting like 50% of the effort in as well. So, and this is once again to people who are newer into the industry. Of course, you hear it all the time. It's very difficult. You do hear people who are, you know, I just saw another friend from Sioux College the other day. He was burnt out. And I don't like saying the word burnt out, but it's very difficult. People get homesick. And he was working in Thunder Bay and things like that. And it's a thing we hear quite often. Or you hear people who are working tons, but they have no downtime. This isn't to like scare people who are new. It's just a reality, of course, what you can face when you're just starting out. Yeah, so that is, once again, to new students, you have what it takes to be in this business, because it's a lot to think about. You need to know what you want, which is in Sioux College, in Toronto Film School, I did not know what I wanted. And at this point, I know what I like, I just don't know the path that I want to take yet. You know, at Sioux College, it was very open-ended for me. It was like, oh, I think I wanted, you know, I want to work at Marvel, I want to work at these kind of things, but I didn't know how to get there. At Toronto Film School, I got really into video games. And I was like, I want to do voiceover directing. I was really wanting to work at Ubisoft. I applied to Ubisoft, all these kind of things, because I love voiceover directing and I love that field. But, you know, and then COVID hit and kind of stuff like that. And you get busy trying to just work. So these are the things that I want, you know, there's more newer people to think about, because these are the questions you're going to face a lot more often than you think. Yeah. This is the Q&A portion that we have about 14 seconds of, according to Rebecca. So you look like you're sleeping. I'm not gonna lie. You look so comfortable. Yes.
So you touched on it a bit, but do you think there's a litmus test for people to give themselves? Do they have what it takes to be in this business? Or are you able to boil it down? Because I don't know, that might be a fair question.
I think so many people are different. Like Effie, which she was in the Sioux College program. I look at Neil for just answers. Effie, who was in the Sioux College program, went to Toronto. She went on set, did not have a good experience, which was outside of her control. But she still ended up working for a distribution company. But she's happy where she is. She's not working on film sets, but she's still within the industry. I think confidence is one. And for looking back again, like looking at weddings, videography, I wish I did more. I wish I understood the business side of things more. I wish I had better editing time. I took way too long to edit certain things. I was nitpicky in that way. I should have let it go. In terms of short films, I should have just done more. I should have been doing more short films in Toronto and things like that. Yeah. Any other questions so far?
I'm just wondering if maybe you touched upon it. It is a business, and that's whether it's film or corporate stuff or weddings. I mean, it doesn't matter. And if you can't sell yourself, and I don't know how much I know before they didn't used to teach a lot of this in the film school, that if you can't sell yourself, like, it's going to be really hard to get anywhere. And I'm just seeing a little bit with people creating films. They're, at the beginning of the process. I know somebody that went this route. He had to sell himself, number one, personality, the way he interacted with people. Then he had to have money to get it out there. Like, aside from producing the film, then it was like going to this festival, but then going to 20 others all around the world and having to pay that yourself until somebody invites you to come to a festival. Yeah. And it becomes a full-time job that you need a bank loan or a rich parent to do. And that's something I don't think people
understand totally. No, yeah. And it's like, I don't remember at Sioux College a business program. I look at Neil still, but he hasn't taught there in years. Right, Neil? And I don't remember the business program there. I remember a business program at Toronto Film School, which was very not what a student would be facing. It was very grand, like if you're working on $100,000 or $1 million film, but it wasn't marketing yourself. And like I said, I'm working at Best Buy. There's a lot of people here who work retail jobs. A lot of people work, the waitress thing or waiter. That's a very common one. And there's no shame in that. It's getting used to it and realizing, okay, how long am I going to invest in this? That's the other big word, like how long you can invest in something like this. Or is it going to be a hobby? Which is nothing wrong with that as well. I do love it, and I spent the last 2 years really diving deep and kind of going like, what else am I good at? What else do I like? And I like teaching. I don't know what other career choice that I'd choose. Maybe at this time, in the next month or two, I could find something else. But yeah.
As a writer, we experience that the well runs dry, and then you need to just stare at the wall for a couple of months. But also when I've been on set, people take from me as much as they can because we have to bring everyone out for every ounce of energy. Maximum effort for minimal dollars is basically the way the industry works. So once that's done, if you are completely empty, you need time to recuperate. And depending on what your recuperation looks like, it might be backing away for a year, it might be backing away for 2 years, it might be backing away for a decade. It doesn't, everybody works differently.
I agree. Yeah, I feel like the opposite sometimes, to be honest. I feel like I want to get something out there, but I can't do anything. Like the problem with working on this feature idea was features just take a long time to make. Like how long did it take for A Christmas Letter for David? Like to get it out there?
We worked on it for a total of 2 years as the producers. But David had written that script 15 years ago as the writer, yeah, 15 years ago. And then the actual shoot, like you mentioned, was only 11 days, but we're still working on the admin as producers. So it's like the job doesn't end, and you don't sometimes pay yourselves till the very end, or if you do it all, who knows if you will, because you pay everybody else sometimes first. So it's definitely,
There's a longer commitment.
it's a long commitment.
And that's what
to be on the creative team.
the downside of film. Sometimes we're going, okay, this is going to be several years, if and all it gets made. And that was one of the really great things of, short films and Heroes of Different Kind too, where it's like, I'm in control. We already know we're going to show it at Cineplex. We have enough money to show it there. If not, we're going to show it at White Pines. If not that, we'll show it in the gym at St. Paul's. Like, we're getting it out there no matter what, because I'm in control of the product. When you're not in control of the product, of course, it's going to take much longer time. That's, that makes sense there.
Thanks for listening. See you at the festival.